Good day, students. This is Afe Ademola Johnson, your biology teacher. I want to teach SS1 students biology, and want to go into the introductory part of biology, starting from the definition of biology. Simply put, if you are asked in any examination to define biology, you will say biology is the science of life. You will say biology is the science of life. How do we come about this definition of biology? The word biology was gotten from a Greek word, bios and logos. Bios, logos. So the term biology was derived from a Greek word which is bios logos. Bios logos. Now, bios means life, while logos means studies. So, two Greek words, bios and logos. If you have come across words like biography, the life history. So bios means life and logos means studies. But you will see that we put together, we're supposed to say biology is the study of life, but we are using the word science. But when the first scientists discovered biology, it just ended in studying. You study. But when it comes to science, how did it become a science? It became a science because when you get an information about something, about a life, then there is a need for you to go to the laboratory, to perform an experiment to test whether that information is true. When you are doing that, you are performing an experiment, and that what you are doing already is science. So with now knowing that the study of life goes beyond just studying, it also involves experimental approach, then it becomes the science of life. Now we will go and look at the branches of biology. Branches of biology. Branches of biology. There are two major branches. There are two major branches of biology. Now, we have the zoology, and we have botany. But the branches of biology is not limited to these two types alone. It's not limited to these two types. These two branches were the earlier branches when minute organisms, which are called microorganisms, were not yet discovered. Because the microscope was not discovered by Anthony van Leeuwenhoek as at the time of the beginning of biology. So then, what is zoology? Zoology, the word zoo, when you come across words that have Z-O-O, it was coined from a Greek word zoion, and zoion means animal. So, and when you look at, and that's why some people mistakenly say where animals are kept is called a zoo. No, it's supposed to be called a zoological garden, not a zoo. Because zoo itself means what? Animal. So, logos, don't worry, don't forget logo. Logic is the word study. So, zoology is a branch of biology that deals with the study or science of animals. So, take note of that. Then, botany is the branch of biology that deals with the study of plants. Botany. So, but as at the time, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek discovered microscope. Then, when we were now minute organisms that could not be seen with naked eyes, like bacteria, like viruses, like protozoans, and some fungi were discovered. And these minute organisms were now put together. They were called microorganisms. And a branch of biology emanated, which is called microbiology, which is going to be the third one, the microbiology. So microbiology is a branch of biology that deals with the study of organisms that cannot be seen with naked eyes. And this microbiology is subdivided into many branches depending on the microorganism you are studying. If the microorganism you are studying is bacteria, then you have bacteriology. Now, if the microorganism you are studying is fungi, bacteriology is the study of what? Of bacteria. If it is fungi, you have mycology. Mycology is the study of what? Of fungi. Then if the microorganism is virus, we have virology. Virology is the study of virus. If the microorganism you are talking about, if it is protozoa, you have protozoans. So, and so on and so forth. So, then, you see, then we see coming under zoology, you see some other branches of biology under zoology. Like when you'll be talking about entomology. Entomology is the study of insects. Entomology is the study of insects. And you know insect is an animal. Then, under zoology again, you can come about something like a myology. You can see this one sound as if you want to say mycology, but this one is myology, which has to do with the study of muscle. So we have other ones. On counting, we have cardiology, which has to do with the study of what? Of the heart. The study of the heart. You have osteology, which has to do with the study of bone. You have hematology, which has to do with the study of blood, and so on and so forth. You have histology, which has to do with the study of what? Of cells, and so on and so forth. Then under botany, you can begin to study bryophytes. You can study bryophytes. You can study talophyte. You can study. You have as many branches. Then there's another one called taxonomy, which is a general one. Taxonomy, which we are going to talk about later. Taxonomy is a branch of biology that studies classification of organisms. That is. Then you have ecology. Ecology is a branch of biology that deals with the interrelationship between organisms and their environment, organisms at home. So that is that. So we have as many branches of biology as possible. So the next thing we want to look at now is characteristics of living things. Or before that, let's look at what's a living thing. What's a living thing? Now, don't forget we say biology is the science of life. So living things, they are things that have life in them. These are things that have life in them. So then, what are examples? Examples are, you have plants, you have animals, you have microorganisms, and then you have fungi. All these are the categories of living things we have. So let's look at characteristics of living things. Characteristics of living things. Characteristics of living things. Now, the word characteristics come from the word character, feature, attributes, property, things that will make you to know that this thing is a living thing. How do you know that all these are living things? The properties exhibited by organisms by which they are called living things are their word characteristics. So these are attributes or features or properties now that show that an organism has life in it. So the characteristics of living things, they are the attributes. So another word for characteristics are attributes, features, properties, things you can see, the behaviors that show that these things are living things. And these attributes are usually put into some acronym, which is Mr. Niger card. So we have an acronym. So now these are put into the following acronyms. Number one, we have M, R, N, I, G, E, R, C, A, D. Now, for those of you that are coming from, okay, all right. Now, M means movements. R means respiration or reproduction. N means nutrition. I means irritability. G means growth. E means excretion. R means reproduction. If this one is respiration, then this one will be reproduction. Then C means competition. And A means adaptation. And D means death. In the olden days, before WAEC came to RDCAD, we used to call it Mr. Niger D. But recently, in about 5 years of WAEC marking scheme, they said it is no longer Mr. Niger D. It now become Mr. Niger Card, Mr. Niger CAD. So let's begin to take these ones one after the other to talk about them. Let's talk about movement. So I will probably stop here in movements so that I will continue in the next class. Movement. When we're talking about movement is the change in the position of an organism. The change in the position. This is the change in the position. The position of an organism. If I am here, and I live here, I change my position, I come to this place. I have moved. So that is movement. Now, I've seen a white question, they say define movement. Then this is what you have put down. I've seen another question, they say what state 3 reasons why organisms move. Reasons for movement. Reasons for movement. Reasons for movement. Number 1, to search for food. To search for food. I am here teaching here because I am looking for money to take care of my family. So I have moved from my house to this place to look for money. So, and I will use the money to purchase something. So also, some other animals will leave one place to another. They will go to the field to graze. That is movement. They want to feed. Then another reason organisms move to search for reproductive mates. If I will ask some of you here, you will see that your father and your mother, they are of different tribes. Your father has been able to move from his own village to your mother's village to look for your mother, or both of them migrated from their various villages maybe to the city, and they are able to see themselves there. So that is another reason for movement. Another reason for movement is to escape predation. To escape predation. The word predation means, or you can simply put it as to escape being killed by natural enemies. If a small animal notices lion is coming on his way, what happens? Then the cat will run away. So the reason for that movement is to escape from being killed by this natural enemy, which is called a predator. Then the organism that is being killed by the predator is called a what? The prey. The prey. Then in plants, now seeds are dispersed in plants to increase the population of plants in new areas. You will see that some plants, so they will by explosive mechanism, they lose their seed to a far place, and what happens? The seed germinates there, and a new plant is established in that place where it was not existing before. So now let's look at types of movements. Let's look at types of movements. Types of movements. Types of movements. Types of movements. Now, there are three types. There are three types. Three types of movements. Now, what are they? These are, number one, we have nastic movement. Nastic movement, you either call it nastic movement or you call it nastism. Nastism. Number two, you have tactic movements. Tactic movements. You either call it tactic movement or you call it taxism. Then the third one is tropic movements. Tropic movements. You either call it tropic movement or you call it tropism. Let's take them one after the other. Let's talk about nastic movements. Nastic movements. Now, when we're talking about nastic movements, now, nastic movements, it is a non-directional movement of part of the body of usually a plant in response to a non-directional stimulus. I've made mention of two things here. Now, here, this one is non-directional movement. To what? To non-directional stimulus. Now, I've said something here. What is stimulus? Stimulus is something that causes you to move. It stimulates you. It changes your reaction. It changes your behavior. If I am here now and I see a snake here, that snake is a stimulus. I will either move towards the snake to kill the snake, or I run away. That snake becomes a what? A stimulus, because it is stimulating my movement. So, nastic movement is a non-directional movement. A movement that does not have a specific direction. We can also say it has a diffused movement. Now, example of plants that undergo nastic movements, as in Mimosa pudica. Mimosa pudica. That's the plant they call sensitive plants. Now, Mimosa pudica, you have seen it before. It's a plant, when you touch the leaflet close. So, any part of the leaflet that you touch, there's no specific direction that you touch. Just touch any part of the leaflet, then it will close. That movement is non-directional movement in response to a non-specific or a diffused stimulus. That is Mimosa pudica. Another example of plants that undergoes nastic movement is 4 o'clock plants. 4 o'clock. It is also known as Mirabilis species. Now, why is it called 4 o'clock plants? Now, it is called 4 o'clock plant because a 4 o'clock plant has red flower. Now, in the morning, when the sun is shining, the flowers open. But in the evening, at dusk, around 4 o'clock, the flower collapses. So that movement now is it is a diffuse movement. And the direction of the sunlight is diffused. Is every part of the body of the flower experiencing it. So this type of movement now is called what? Nastic movement, or you call it what? Nastism. Now let's go to, now take note of this. In nastic movement, only part of the body of the organism is moved. Only part of the body of the organism is moved. And that movement is a non-directional movement. And the response is what? Non-directional stimulus. That stimulus. Now, but in the case of tactic movement of taxism, this one is the movement, this one is nastic, is non-directional. Static is directional movement. Nascent movement, only part of the body of the plant is moved. But here, in static movement, the whole body of the organism is what? Is moved. Nascent movement only involves plants. Static movement can involve plants, animals, any kind of organism. Now, in case I've seen a question, they say, state 3 differences between nascent movement and static. By definition, static movement is the directional movement of the whole body parts of an organism in response to a directional stimulus. Now, when you start with directional movement, you will end with directional stimulus. When you start with non-directional movement, you will end with non-directional stimulus. So here, but here now, the whole body part is being moved. If there is a food there and I move close to the food to eat, my whole body parts are moved together at the same time. And because of that, I've undergone nascent movement. And based on I've undergone static movement, not nascent movement. No, based on what is causing you to move, there are different types of static movement. So in the next class, we are going to look at the various types of static movement. So I remain my humble self, Afe Ademola Johnson. So I will leave you with a classwork. Now, what is the classwork? Number 1, define biology. Define biology. Number 2, state 10 characteristics of living things. Then number 3, now define nastic movements. With at least 2 examples. So number 4 will be state 3 reasons for movements. So please, with all we have done so far, if you are able to do this one, you are through. You are ready for any external examination. So I remain myself. If you have any question, put in the comment section of this video and it will get to me, then we'll discuss about it. See you next time. I remain Afe Ademola Johnson. God bless you and bye for now. Thank you.